Yesterday, I was trying to pull this really specific medical study from the PubMed database.
Oh, yeah. That database can be a nightmare to navigate.
Right, so I had my search terms dialed in perfectly. I hit enter, and the screen just, it suddenly goes completely blank.
Let me guess. You got hit with a verification wall.
Exactly. A second later, this little white box pops up. A recap TCHA wall. You know the exact drill. You have to select all the images containing a crosswalk or a bicycle.
Or at the corner of a fire hydrant?
Yes,
Huh.
just to prove to the system that you aren't like some malicious script trying to scrape their data.
It's basically the quintessential modern digital checkpoint, right? You are just entirely halted until you can prove your humanity to a literal machine.
And sitting there, clicking on these blurry pictures of traffic lights, it really got me thinking about how bizarre our verification systems have actually become.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, we have to constantly prove to computers that we aren't robots. But it kind of begs a much bigger question about human-to-human interaction.
Okay, where are you going with this?
Well, think about it. In today's highly automated hybrid working world where we interact through screens and avatars and, email signatures, how do humans actually prove to each other that they are real, trustworthy people?
Oh, that's an interesting angle.
Right. And if you look historically and biologically, the answer isn't a password. It's physical touch. Specifically, it's the handshake.
Which, honestly, is a mechanism we severely neglected for a really long stretch of recent history.
Yeah, we really did.
I mean, to truly understand the weight of a handshake today, you have to look at the baseline we're operating from right now, because for over 3 years, during the height of the pandemic, human beings effectively retreated into these isolated silos.
Oh, definitely. It was just Zoom boxes.
Exactly. Patrice Carrier, who writes for the HDI corporate culture blog in the IT sector, she documents this shift perfectly. We replaced dynamic physical environments with two-dimensional grids.
Right, friend circles shrank down to asynchronous WhatsApp chats.
Yeah, and we went years without making new in-person social connections. And as a biological side effect of all that, society largely lost the fundamental art of face-to-face connection.
It's like a muscle had atrophied.
That's exactly it. Now, as people are filtering back into hybrid environments and, physical conferences, we're essentially having to relearn a language we kind of forgot we spoke.
So for today's deep dive, we are decoding that exact language. We've pulled a really massive stack of sources for this.
We really did. We got a lot to cover.
Yeah, we have communication studies from Belmont University, a literal master class from the Etiquette School of New York, insights from a YouTube presentation expert, and various corporate culture blogs.
It's a great mix of perspectives.
It is. And our mission is to understand the science, the psychology, and the hidden power dynamics of this one simple gesture.
And I think the best place to start isn't actually with the physical motion itself, but with the neurochemistry.
Oh, okay. Let's get into the brain.
Because a handshake is, at its core, a biological hack. It operates entirely below our conscious awareness.
Wait, a biological hack? How so?
Well, when two people meet and their hands clasp, that specific skin-to-skin contact triggers an immediate response in the brain. Specifically, the release of oxytocin.
Oh, okay. I've heard of that.
Yeah, both the HDI blog we looked at and Diane DeResta, she's a presentation expert we reviewed on YouTube, they both point to this exact chemical reaction.
I always hear oxytocin referred to as the bonding hormone.
Or the love hormone, yeah, people use that a lot. But in a professional or casual meeting context, it's actually much better understood as a threat mitigator.
A threat mitigator. Okay, explain that.
So when you meet a stranger, your brain's amygdala, the fear and emotional processing center, is super active. It's rapidly scanning this new person to determine if they are a physical or social threat.
Like an ancient survival instinct.
Precisely. It's a defensive posture. But when you shake hands, the oxytocin floods your system and actively downregulates that amygdala activity. It literally dampens your biological fear response.
Wow. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting to me. It's essentially like a biological Bluetooth pairing.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Right. You're holding two nervous systems close together, and you're just waiting for the oxytocin to act as the handshake protocol that syncs them up and establishes a secure connection.
That is exactly what is happening under the skin.
Yeah.
And Diane DeResta actually leverages this biology for a very specific public speaking strategy.
Really? How does she use it?
She advises speakers to arrive at their venue early and stand right by the door. And then she deliberately shakes hands with audience members as they filter into the room.
Oh, wow. Before she even starts talking.
Exactly. Before she even steps up to the microphone, she is chemically inducing rapport and trust across her audience. She's altering the neurochemical makeup of the room, one person at a time.
flipping their internal switches from, like, passive skepticism to active collaboration. You got it.
But wait, let me push back on the power of this hormone for a second.
Sure, go ahead.
If oxytocin just makes you feel bonded and dampens the threat response, does it actually blind you to incompetence?
What do you mean?
Well, say I show up to a pitch meeting 15 minutes late, completely unprepared, and I'm just a mess. Is a quick biological Bluetooth pairing going to save my reputation? Or is it merely setting a baseline?
Oh, no, it is strictly a baseline. Oxytocin absolutely does not erase bad behavior or mask incompetence.
Okay, good. That would be a terrifying superpower.
Right. Patri Bridges' blog makes a crucial point here. The physical touch is the catalyst, but the behavior surrounding it sustains the connection.
Which means doing what, exactly?
You still have to maintain eye contact, show genuine empathy, be fully present, and, not take yourself too seriously.
So the rest of your vibe has to match the handshake.
Exactly. If you shake someone's hand but then behave erratically or arrogantly, the brain quickly overrides that initial chemical trust.
That makes sense. However, without that initial handshake, you are starting the interaction, trying to dig yourself out of a deficit of suspicion.
Right, so the biology handles the immediate threat assessment. It tells the other person's brain, okay, this person is safe.
Yes.
But once my brain realizes you aren't going to physically attack me, we immediately move into an entirely different kind of judgment. We start evaluating competence, personality, and social standing.
Which is where things get really complicated.
Very complicated. And looking at the psychology of those next few seconds, it seems like younger generations are walking into a trap they don't even know exists.
We are looking at a full-blown nonverbal literacy crisis.
A crisis. You think it's that bad?
I do. Think about it. We have an entire generation that grew up communicating primarily through digital text and screens.
iPads and texting.
Yeah, and now they're stepping into professional arenas where executives are still fiercely grading them on analog, physical signals.
Okay, let's unpack this. We had that source from Belmont University's Communications Studies Department, right?
Yes, and they highlighted a really fascinating experiment by scholars at Ohio Wesleyan University.
Tell me about that one.
So they set up a mock networking event with 150 undergraduate students. And afterward, the researchers had the students report on what specific character traits they inferred from each other's handshakes.
Just from the handshake.
Just from the handshake.
Right.
And the correlation was staggering. Firm handshakes were undeniably linked to perceptions of extroversion and emotional expressiveness.
So the firmer the grip, the more the other person assumed they were highly social and confident.
Exactly. And conversely, weak handshakes were almost universally coded as signaling insecurity, shyness, and just a general lack of capability.
Wow. But wait, that's just college students evaluating each other, right?
Yeah.
Does that actually hold up in the real corporate world?
It absolutely does. The stakes are actually much higher in the actual market. Take the study by Dr. Paul Jennings at Wichita State University.
Oh, right, the one with the business professionals.
Yeah, he surveyed 505 business professionals.
Over 500.
Yes. That is over 500 seasoned executives and managers evaluating the reality of the modern workplace.
And what did they find?
The data revealed a glaring, almost desperate frustration regarding the nonverbal cues of young professionals. The participants explicitly noted that many young adults are failing to establish themselves.
Failing how?
Like failing to close deals, failing to win clients, or secure promotions, specifically because their poor handshakes project an aura of incompetence.
Ouch. So they speak a purely digital language, but the gatekeepers are judging an analog test.
Exactly.
There's this anecdote in the Belmont University source from a writer named Georgia McKee that paints a perfect picture of what happens when a young professional actually passes that analog test.
Oh, I love this story. Share it.
So she was an intern in Washington, D.C., and she unexpectedly found herself in an elevator at the Rayburn House office building with her absolute favorite author.
Just her and the author in an elevator.
Right. And she noted she was terrified, like internally panicking. But she stepped up, introduced herself, and delivered a really solid, confident handshake.
A huge risk, but it paid off.
It really did. Because when she emailed his office the next day to follow up, he remembered her explicitly as the girl with the confident handshake.
I mean, that says it all.
It does. And 4 months later, that single physical impression helped her land her dream internship.
Because it acts as an anchor in the memory. In a sea of anxious young professionals who might all have, similar resumes and similar email etiquette, the physical presence was the differentiator.
But, and here's my question, If Gen Z and younger millennials are actively losing this skill because their developmental environment was mediated by technology, are they just doomed?
Doomed is a strong word, but they are at a disadvantage.
Or, hear me out, does the modern workplace simply need to evolve past the handshake? I mean, if we are negotiating multi-million-dollar contracts over Zoom and Slack, why are we still demanding this outdated physical ritual? Why not just adapt to the digital norm?
Because human biology evolves at a glacial pace compared to our technology.
Okay, fair point.
I mean, we can invent new software in a weekend, right? But we cannot instantly rewrite hundreds of thousands of years of evolutionary psychology.
Right, the brain still wants what it wants.
Exactly. According to the Etiquette School of New York, a prospective employer, a client, or a business associate takes less than 5 seconds to judge your trustworthiness and baseline competence.
Less than 5 seconds. That is brutal.
It's fast, and you simply cannot bypass that ingrained psychological filter with a well-crafted email signature. When people meet in person, they are subconsciously hunting for a physical signal that you are confident and capable.
And the handshake is the signal.
The handshake remains the absolute most efficient, universally understood vehicle for transmitting that signal.
Okay, so knowing there is this tiny 5-second window where executives are secretly grading us on a biological level, we have to figure out how to actually execute this thing without looking like a malfunctioning robot.
It does take some practice.
Both the Etiquette School of New York and the Belmont University Communication Guide offer incredibly precise instructions on how to do this. And honestly, reading through their guidelines, it felt exactly like reading a manual on how a professional golfer addresses the tee.
Oh, totally. It's all about biomechanics.
Yeah, it sounds hyper-analytical when you break it down like this.
It does, but the intention is to practice these micro movements until they coalesce into fluid muscle memory. You shouldn't be thinking about the mechanics in the moment.
Right, so let's break down the actual physics of the perfect handshake for everyone listening. First, the preparation. You must always keep your right hand free.
Always.
The etiquette school is adamant about this. Never hold a cold, wet drink in your right hand at a networking event.
Oh, that is the worst. Because the condensation drops the temperature of your skin and covers it in moisture.
And nobody wants a wet handshake.
Exactly. Nothing triggers a subconscious revulsion faster than shaking a cold, clammy hand. It signals nervousness and just core planning.
Good to know. What about the left hand?
You also need to keep your left hand out of your pocket. Having both hands visible is an ancient, ingrained signal that you are unarmed and aren't hiding anything.
That goes right back to the evolutionary survival stuff.
Yep.
Okay, and posture is non-negotiable. You always stand up. It doesn't matter if you are a man or a woman. Standing shows immediate respect and puts you on equal physical footing.
Absolutely.
But you don't just reach out from wherever you were standing, right?
Yeah.
There's a specific geometry to this. You need to stand shoulder to shoulder, heart to heart, keeping roughly 18 inches of distance between you and the other person.
Yeah, and that 18-inch rule is deeply rooted in proxemics,
Proxemics.
the study of how humans use space. 18 inches perfectly bridges the gap between the public sphere and the intimate sphere.
Okay, so if I step in closer than 18 inches,
You are invading their intimate zone, which triggers the amygdala's threat response all over again.
and if I stand further back,
If you stand further back and just stretch your arm out, you appear aloof and defensive. 18 inches is really the sweet spot of collaborative trust.
okay, 18 inches, got it.
Mm.
From that distance,
Mm.
you flex your knees slightly, and you move your right foot exactly 2 inches ahead of your left as you extend your arm.
Very specific.
I told you it was like a golf swing.
Yeah.
And then we get to the grip, which is where the psychology gets really intense. The thumb has to be pointing straight up to the ceiling.
Yes.
Why? Because extending your hand palm down is an aggressive, dominant move. You're basically trying to force the other person under you.
And extending it palm up signals submission?
Exactly. So it has to be perfectly vertical. And here's the most crucial phrase from the Belmont Guide. You have to go web to web.
Ah, yes. This is where most weak handshakes fail.
Right. The webbing between your thumbs and index finger must meet the exact same spot on the other person's hand before you close your fingers.
If you miss the web and just grab their fingers.
You accidentally create the dreaded limp fish handshake, which triggers this subconscious feeling that you're trying to evade them or pull
That
away.
is terrible feeling.
Right.
Once you are web to web, the protocol dictates that you squeeze until you feel their muscles tighten and then you stop. You are essentially matching their grip strength.
Wait. Let's pause on that. Squeeze until I feel their muscles tighten.
Yeah.
What if I have a naturally weak grip and I'm shaking hands with a power lifter? Am I supposed to try and crush this person's hand to match them?
No, no, no.
Or what if I have a really strong grip and I'm shaking hands with an elderly person?
You are matching their pressure, not challenging their maximum output.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
It is an empathetic reflex. If you meet someone with a delicate grip, you dial your pressure down to meet them comfortably. If you meet someone with a firm, commanding grip, you tense your muscles to meet that resistance.
So it's about being present.
Completely. Matching someone's physical pressure in real time is the ultimate nonverbal display of situational awareness. It tells their brain, I recognize where you are, and I am meeting you on your level.
That makes perfect sense. It's like a physical mirror.
Yes.
As for the motion itself, it should come strictly from the elbow, not the wrist or the shoulder. Exactly 2 smooth pumps. And you never hold on for longer than 3 seconds.
No. Anything longer than 3 seconds turns into a hostage situation.
Nobody wants to be held hostage at a networking event.
Definitely not. And while your arm is doing that precise mechanical work, your eyes actually have a job to do too.
Right, the etiquette school offers a really brilliant psychological trick for timing your eye contact. They say to look into their eyes just long enough to note their exact eye color.
I love that trick.
It is genius. Because if you just tell someone to make eye contact, they either dart their eyes away in a panic after a half second, or they lock in with this terrifying, unblinking serial killer stare.
Right. The stare is almost worse than no eye contact. Looking for the eye color gives your brain a microtask. It takes roughly 1.5 seconds to recognize and register the color.
Which is the optimal length of time?
Exactly. It's the exact optimal length of time to establish a genuine connection without appearing aggressive or overeager.
Of course, understanding the perfect mechanics also means knowing what to actively avoid.
Oh, the don'ts.
Yes. We know to avoid the limp fish by going web to web, we have to avoid the bone crusher, which is just an insecure attempt to establish dominance through brute force. And then there is the glove,
Oh, the two-handed handshake.
where you use your left hand to cup the outside of their right hand.
It feels so incredibly patronizing.
It really does. I mean, unless you are a seasoned politician actively trying to comfort a grieving constituent, just keep the left hand out of it.
Right. Because it violates the 18-inch boundary we talked about, and it forces an unearned level of intimacy.
So when you synthesize all of this, the posture, the distance, the web-to-web connection, the mirrored pressure, the eye color check, it sounds incredibly daunting.
It does sound like a lot.
But again, like a golf swing, once you calibrate these movements, your nervous system takes over and it becomes a fluid, natural motion.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've mapped out the biology, the psychology, and the physical mechanics, but that's just the geometry of the gesture.
Right.
We have to look at the social chess game surrounding it. Because knowing how to perfectly shake a hand is totally useless if you don't understand the unspoken power dynamics of when to initiate it and, who is actually allowed to reach out first.
The rules of initiation are where the invisible hierarchy of a room becomes visible.
Okay, how so?
Well, in traditional corporate settings, the rule is surprisingly rigid. The person with the higher status or authority is the one who holds the right to initiate the handshake.
So the boss always goes first.
Basically, the CEO extends their hand to the manager, the client extends their hand to the vendor.
But the etiquette schools in New York points out that the gender dynamics interwoven with this have completely evolved.
Oh, drastic.
Historically, men were explicitly taught not to initiate a handshake with a woman unless she offered her hand first.
That was the old societal standard, yes. But today, the handshake is the universal, gender-neutral business standard.
As it should be.
However, the legacy of those old rules creates a really fascinating modern power dynamic. Because the initiator of a handshake is subconsciously perceived by the room as holding more status, when a woman steps up and actively initiates a handshake with a male counterpart, she is bypassing the old passive expectation.
Oh, that's powerful.
It is. She is non-verbally projecting to him, and really to everyone observing, that she views her status as absolutely equal to or potentially greater than his. It is a subtle but powerful claiming of space.
But doesn't that present a massive risk?
What kind of risk?
Well, if the golden corporate rule is that the higher status person must initiate, and I decide to confidently step up and initiate a handshake with a senior VP just to project my confidence, do I risk offending them? Am I stepping on their hierarchical toes?
You are touching on the absolute necessity of reading the room. This loops back beautifully to Petri Klege's advice in the HDI blog about balancing authenticity with respect.
Right, you can't just barge in.
Exactly. Projecting confidence cannot come at the expense of situational awareness. If you are walking into the office of a CEO you've never met, you stand at attention, make eye contact, and wait for them to welcome you into their space by extending their hand.
You respect their domain.
Yes, but if you are at a crowded networking mixer with a mix of peers and mid-level managers, aggressively stepping up and initiating the handshake shows a commanding, proactive presence.
Mm.
You really have to evaluate the context of the turf you are on.
And we also have to acknowledge that everything we've broken down today, the firm grip, the eye contact, the swift pumps, is heavily skewed toward Western business culture.
Oh, absolutely.
The moment you step into international business, the playbook shifts.
Tremendously. The physical gesture remains, but the execution changes to reflect different cultural values.
Give me an example.
Well, in many Middle Eastern cultures, for instance, a handshake is expected to be much softer, almost shockingly limp by American standards, and it lingers for a significantly longer time.
Really?
Yeah, pulling your hand away quickly or gripping too firmly isn't seen as confident. It is interpreted as aggressive and rude.
Oh, wow. That's good to know.
And in Japan, while bowing remains paramount, when handshakes do occur in international business, the appropriate greeting is a very light grip accompanied by a respectful nod of the head. You actually actively avoid the intense, dominant eye contact we prize in the West.
Yet despite those regional nuances, the gesture itself has totally conquered the globe. The etiquette school highlights a really brilliant visual example of this universality.
Think about international diplomacy.
Right. When the president of China, representing a culture historically rooted in the bow, meets the president of France, representing a culture famous for the double cheek kiss, what happens when they meet on the tarmac?
They shake hands.
They shake hands. It has become the definitive global bridge for human agreement.
It transcends borders, languages, and local customs in a way almost no other human behavior has managed to do.
It really is astonishing when you zoom out and look at the entire picture.
It is.
What seems like a throwaway 2-second greeting is actually a densely packed ritual. I mean, it is a biological tool your body uses to hack another person's amygdala with oxytocin.
Yep.
It is a ruthless psychological test where executives judge your confidence and extroversion in 5 seconds flat.
Terrifying, but true.
It is a highly demanding mechanical skill requiring precise proxemics, web-to-web geometry, and perfectly timed eye color recognition. And on top of all that, it is a subtle lever used to negotiate status and power in every single room you walk into.
And understanding all those layers takes you from participating in a ritual blindly to actually mastering your environment.
So we want to leave you with a concrete call to action today. Try the homework assignment directly from the Etiquette School of New York. In the next few days, ask a trusted office mate, a friend, or a family member to evaluate your handshake.
Get raw, honest feedback.
Exactly. Are you missing the web? Are you a bone crusher without realizing it? And the next time you walk into a meeting with a new client or colleague, consciously try using that eye color trick. Give your brain that micro task to ensure you are holding just the right amount of connection. Take absolute control of those crucial first 5 seconds.
And as you think about how analog this all is, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder.
Lay it on us.
As we move deeper into an era dominated by remote work, virtual reality spaces, and AI avatars, a really profound challenge is appearing on the horizon.
Where does the handshake fit in?
Right. Will we eventually need to engineer entirely new, entirely digital gestures that can somehow trigger that same neurological oxytocin response in a purely virtual space?
Oh, wow.
Or, as our physical workplaces continue to shrink and disappear, will the simple analog human handshake become a rare luxury commodity, like a vital gesture reserved strictly for the highest stakes, most consequential human interactions?
That is a wild thought to sit with.
Yeah.
A future where a real physical handshake is the ultimate luxury of doing business. But, until that day comes, we are still living in a tangible world where we need to continuously prove to each other that we are real, capable, trustworthy people.
So true.
So the next time you extend your hand across a table, remember, you aren't just saying a polite hello, you are passing the human recap TCHA test.